When all of a sudden this huge creature, this giant crustacean from the Paleolithic era comes out of the water. And the monster bent down and said, I need about 350.
Damn Loch Ness Monster, I ain't giving you no tree fitty. This is episode 447 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 19th of April, 2022, and featuring Legend of the Sea Devils, written by Chris Chibnall and Ella Road, and starring Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, Mandip Gill as Yasmin Khan, and John Bishop as Dan Lewis. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and with me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Good evening.
Alex Fireheart.
I guess Dan is supposed to be Steven in this episode.
And Mad Matt Winchell.
The continuing adventures of the bungler, the airhead, and the cardboard cutout. I'll leave it to you to figure out which is which.
Oh.
How's everybody's week going?
Well, I'm better than last week.
Yeah, not dying.
Yeah. So, I was feeling run down on Friday. Not last Friday, the week before. Enough that I usually GM a Cyberpunk game on Friday. And I just did not have the energy. I was there for our usual Cyberpunk podcast. And after that said, look, guys, I can't really game tonight. I need to go to sleep. And so I logged off. I slept. I woke up Saturday morning. I felt fine. By Saturday afternoon, it had just hit me like an oncoming lorry. Oh, God. Coughing, sneezing, achy, runny nose, watery eyes. I mean, everything of your basic cold and flu symptom all at once. And this continued Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday before at least I started to see the sneezing and the runny nose started to dry up. But, oh, God. I was miserable. And if I had joined you last week, I'd have sounded like this. Because, yeah, I was that bad.
Oh, since...
I'm better now, but the cough remains. Because you know how those things like to linger. So if I cough tonight, if I sound like I'm dying tonight, it's just the leftover cold. I've taken some Dayquil to try to take care of it, but we'll see if it helps.
Yeah.
Phone. I don't know what you suddenly felt you needed to announce.
On my end, I technically don't even have time to be doing this podcast, but my brain will literally boil out my ears if I just keep working on schoolwork. So, yeah, I'm taking the time for some Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's a good time to do that, too.
Yep. The most exciting thing that's happened to me lately is that I've been trying to finish up my Pokedex, and apparently I need to catch some extinct dinosaurs. So that I've been trying to get time warps to open up for the past couple days to varying degrees of success. The Doctor would certainly have a word with me if they existed in the Pokemon Legends Arceus universe. But
Well, he would have to have words with Arceus and his little sub Pokemon henchmen, because they're the ones opening up rifts in space and time.
yep. I was thinking that earlier today. I was googling how to open a time space disturbance, and I was like, yeah, that's a great way to get the doctor to materialize in my bedroom.
Okay. Well, for me, I got to replace my assistant manager twice this last week. After getting called in the second time, she's like, "You're getting off Sunday."
Can I say, are you up for promotion?
One has to wonder. I'm technically working full time lately these days, half the
It's like
time.
that's how they tell you you're an assistant manager, by just having you cover often enough. Don't forget to make sure they pay you if they give you the extra duties.
Oh, they better pay. I don't like those duties. I've seen occasionally the stress of those duties, and it's like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah, at 18, I was okay with having manager responsibilities that could go on my resume and being told the paycheck was coming soon. As an adult, I'm like, yeah, I'm not taking on the extra work unless it comes with the extra pay. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Once
'cause
bitten
when you're
and
when
twice
you're
shy.
when you're young and naive, I'm like, if I work harder, I'll impress them.
hmm
And then you realize, no, they don't care. They'll just realize that that they're able to exploit you.
Well, so
And
far, every chance I've had to get a raise, I've reached maximum raise every time, and we're going to be getting another one here at the end of the month.
well, at least that's good. You're
Yeah.
making bank.
Mm-hmm. And our starting wage rather has gone up, and I'm just keeping above it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I have heard that if it does get above our current wages, the company will actually boost us a couple extra bucks an hour.
nice.
So yeah, they're not going to treat us like garbage.
And this is a far cry from the. Please support my Patreon. I'm starving.
Right.
That we had a few years ago.
Oh yeah, that was like what, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, my please support my Patreon. The power has gone out. Oh,
So now you're making bank.
slowly
is
but
great.
surely.
I wish,
I finally have the amount of money I want for that computer. Now I just need the computer to get back in stock so I can actually buy it.
Yeah, give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, I figured in about a week or two they'll probably finally make another one to put on the store and just go, get me.
Speaking of which, I was watching a 4A production stream last week, and they pointed out, yeah, the PS5 has been out for 2 years now. Nobody can get their hands on it still.
Mm.
You get a decent
Yeah, like-
high-end computer, I can tell you where you can get one. I can give you some specs on them too.
Like EB Games here in Australia has a thing going for pre-orders for PS5s now, and I'm like, I'm saving up for a PC. I'm just gonna fucking wait.
Fuck it, it's not worth it. Heck, the most worthwhile Sony games are starting to get ported to PC now, anyways. They've already ported start porting the God of War games. They've ported what was that one? The weird post-apocalyptic one with the robot dinosaurs.
My commitment has been to play Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 when it comes out, and I know it won't come out on PC for another year after it comes out on PlayStation.
Yes, but it will come out, so that's the thing. Really, the only things you want to be able to play about every game in existence is a PC and a Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Nintendo will only ever exclusively release, and I'm talking legally here, people. I'm not talking ROMs. I'm talking Nintendo will only ever exclusively release its Nintendo stuff for the Switch. You won't be seeing Zelda on Steam.
No, not very likely.
Pretty much the only way you would is if Nintendo stopped making consoles and just devoted entirely to making games.
And they apparently make enough on the consoles that they're still giving it a go.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Switch is like one of the most popular consoles they've ever come out with.
A big turnaround after Wii U.
Yeah, well, yeah. But mind you, the Switch is basically the next gen for their home console and their portable market.
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes both markets at once.
Which is why I got a message recently that the 3DS is going to die, store-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to be kicking the bucket within a year.
Yep. Anyway, we've gone remarkably off topic here.
You haven't got on topic yet. It's banter.
And let's move on to tonight's show, where we've got a bunch of birthdays, all of which were too important to skip. We've got, of course, some news. We've got a little bit of geek talk, and then our summary. We're going to go into a little bit of historical fact check, and then the episode review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So, birthdays. Shall we just start the ball rolling with the big one? April 13th, Peter Davidson, the Doctor from 1982 to 84. He turned 71. If you don't know who he is, why are you listening to our podcast? On the next one...
watch.
Today is one of the days that only Chibnall fans might be listening to, so...
Peter Capaldi, the previous Doctor from 2013 to 2017, turned 64. If you don't know who he is, oh my god.
Shame.
Same day as Tarek Sticks, script editor from 70 to 74, and one of the more prolific of the novelization writers. Would have been 87, but died in 2019 at the age of 84. April 17th saw the birthday of David Bradley, the Doctor, and specifically the first Doctor, from the 2017 Christmas special, turned 80.
And so far, the only one to survive the curse. Knocking on wood.
The 18th saw the birthday of David Tennant, who played the Doctor from 2005 to 2009, turned 51. Still considered to be the most famous or popular Doctor of the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
Debatably of all time. Also, the same
Tom
day...
Baker will still uppercut you for that remark.
It's neck and neck between...
Yeah, it really is between those two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same day is Camille Corduri, who played Jackie Tyler from 2005 to 2009. She turned 57. And, I think about that for a bit. Jackie Tyler was Rose's mother. She is technically 6 years older than the actor playing the Doctor. Which meant, when Rose and the Doctor were kind of a thing, Jackie was only 6 years older than him. Made things a little bit awkward, wouldn't you think?
Bit of an odd age gap.
I mean, the character was 900 and mumble.
Yeah. Also, same day is the birthday of Eric Roberts, who played the Master in the 1996 telemovie. He turned 66. And finally, the same day is the birthday of David Whittaker, the original script editor for Doctor Who, from 1963 to 64. Edited, I think, the first 51, 52 episodes. Would have been 94, but died in 1980 at the age of 51.
An inventor of the Dalek Emperor, I believe.
Quite possibly. So happy birthday, Peter, Terrence, David, Camille, Eric, and David. Wow, a lot of Peter and Davids.
And you could replace half of them just by saying doctor.
Doctor, yeah.
That case,
All
I'm
right.
loving you.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later, though.
Okay, so in the news, Legend of the Sea Devils overnight viewing figures, the overnights are in, and Legend of the Sea Devils had an audience of 2.2 million, according to the BBC. This makes Doctor Who the 11th most watched program on Easter Sunday.
Oof.
Britain's Got Talent on ITV1 won the day with 5.2 million watching. The new ITV drama The Thief, His Wife, and the Canoe had an overnight audience of 4.71.
That title just makes me scratch my head.
It reminds me of The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, which was a movie in the 80s, I think.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe might as well be.
But this is highly disappointing for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
As the lowest current rated episode for Doctor Who ever was the first episode of the 1989 story Battlefield, which had 3.10 million viewers. And this one, at present, is a good 900,000 lower.
Mm-hmm.
However, final figures will be released by the Barb next week.
Yeah.
And will include those who recorded the episode and watched it later.
Uh-huh.
Legend of the Sea Devils had an audience appreciation index of 76, which is low for Doctor Who, but more or less par for the Chibnall era. Might be a little under par, actually. So, we'll go from that news to the Centenary Special. And, of course, after the episode, there was a trailer for the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, what a fucking trailer.
Yes.
Yeah. If the Sea Devils didn't already raise an eyebrow for you.
Oh, the Sea Devils was enough for us to bring back a classic. But what's fucking in this trailer? Not only do we see the Doctor, we see the Master, we see the Daleks, we see the Cybermen, we see Tegan Jovanka from the 1980s, from the early 80s, and Ace from the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, and one of the guys from Flux is back in this, too.
I was gonna say, and Vinder, and Kate Stewart.
And Kate Stewart.
I mean, the star power on this one, I swear to God, Chibnall's trying to outdo anything RTD ever did.
Just for one big special.
Oh, and the return of the orange spacesuit.
Yep.
Return of the orange spacesuit. Also, did you notice who was amongst those Cybermen?
The half Cyberman, the guy from the what was that? The series 11, or was it series 12?
Series 12,
yeah, series 12 finale.
Mm-hmm. The interesting Cyberman. So he's somehow back too.
Mm-hmm. And we thought he was vaporized on Gallifrey. So
Along with the Master, so.
Might have been vaporized, but for sure was shrunk at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The Master tried to take care of him.
Yeah.
Even before the vaporizing.
Speaking of the Master, we see a regular Master, and then we see a Master almost like Curse of Fatal Deathy, where he's maybe been trapped for 100 years, growing his hair out or something.
Trapped in a sodding sewer.
Yes.
The next question is, does he have Dalek bumps?
If they do that, then Chibnall's trying to basically lampoon Stephen Moffat. And then they should just call this Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death too.
Electric Boogaloo?
The curse of fataler death.
That would be fucking great. If they did that, I would start laughing my ass off.
It would officially label this entire run by Chibnall as nothing more than a fever dream for sure. Somebody's got background music.
Yeah, my alarm's going off. I'm trying to, but my touch protection was on, so it wasn't letting me in.
Just in case you were still asleep.
Yeah, it's a warning. It's a reminder I should be taking my pills by now.
Gotcha.
If you hadn't already, yep.
And I took them 2 hours ago, so I'm good.
But yeah, the amount of people in here gives me two thoughts. The first is, okay, one is, are there any secrets that they're actually saving for the episode, or have they just pretty much blown their wad already? And then the second question is this episode a bit crowded to actually tell a story? Or are some of these going to just be glorified cameos?
Well, first of all, do we have a knowledge on what the length of this is going to be?
They just say feature length, so that
feature
says
length, so it's at least an hour and a half.
Yeah, so I would guess, I would guess at least 70 minutes, possibly longer. I don't know what the longest single episode, the longest single episode of whoever has been, but.
I mean, we've got a few over an hour normal episodes from Chibnall, so I would hope that it, at this point, would be about 90 minutes at least.
Yeah, he better be planning this with having enough time for all this, otherwise it's gonna become another flux.
Or be another 5 Doctors, which I'm trying to find the length to. So 5 Doctors was a single episode originally, and it was then cut into a serial at 90 minutes. So that's probably the record for a Doctor Who episode. And the 5 Doctors, the problem was it was overcrowded and didn't have enough time for all of its cast.
Yes, but you're not seeing that much in here at this point. I mean,
at least not that they're putting up there at the moment. But
they had to field in that one 4 doctors with at least 1 companion each. The first Doctor had Susan. The second Doctor had the Brigadier. Third Doctor had Sarah Jane. Fourth Doctor technically had Romana, but was stuck in the time vortex, so we'll pass that out. And the Fifth Doctor had Turlo and Tegan. So, and then they had the guest appearances at a scene each, so they had to write all of that in, not to mention...
the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Master, so all the characters we're seeing here.
All the new creatures that got introduced as well, and the weird traps that were set up before them, and everything else that happened in between.
My point isn't that it's necessarily, it's that it depends on how well written it is. And we haven't exactly been giving the Chibnall episodes a 5 out of 5 for plotting.
Yeah.
True. Who knows? Maybe they're trapped in the death zone. I mean, let's see. Most of these pictures are TARDIS. You've got Vinder in the TARDIS. You've got Yaz in the TARDIS.
Daleks seem to be in a tunnel.
Daleks seem to be in a fiery waste tunnel. They're being Daleks.
Cybermen are in a weird blue lit area, so that's not normal TARDIS console
looks
either.
like, well, there's some brick there, so it looks like an industrial building.
With fluorescent lighting.
You've got Yaz and... Is that the Master? I can't tell. Yes. That's Yaz and the Master.
Yep.
And... I can't tell where that is.
Before he grows his hair out.
Yep.
Doesn't that look like one of the scenes from when he was first brought in as this current Master?
Possibly.
Because I kind of wonder about that, because it looks like it could have been recycled footage, that particular
That's him
clip.
as O, you think?
Then, take a look at the Dan picture where he's in the spacesuit. Look at his helmet.
H. Stewart shot him in the face.
Yet his face is fine.
Interesting. And he's holding a Sonic.
When did he get good enough to use a Sonic? And Kate Stewart looks like
Oh,
she's in the
maybe he got promoted to Sonic user after a certain lightsaber scene.
Oh God, is Kate Stewart looking at another end the world button?
If you're talking about that black tower thing, I think that's behind her. Hard to tell, but yeah, it looks like it's behind, like a computer tower in between the desks there in the background.
I don't know. Maybe she's looking at her. Maybe it's the world's router, and if she hits the white button, it reboots the entire world's Wi-Fi.
Again, that's behind her.
Well, it's in front of her in the picture.
No, if you look down at the bottom of the picture, you'll see that it's wedged between the desks that are behind her.
I don't know. That might be a matter of perspective, Matt.
At the very least,
I see what you're saying. Her leg is in front of it, so it's next. It looks like it's next to
her. At best,
her.
it's next to her. She's not looking at it.
Got you. Okay, yeah. When you scroll down and see her legs, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a weird perspective.
Yeah.
Last thing I expect to look at Doctor Who teaser trailers is the photo equivalent of an MC Escher painting. Thank you.
I mean, I'm still waiting for the Doctor Who episode. That's the video equivalent of a Salvador Dali painting. So.
Well, that's saying that's like half the time when they try to mind gank somebody in this show. The faces just start to melt with the special effects.
And then, of course, you come back up to the top and you look at the picture of Ace and Tegan. Ace, I can still recognize.
Mm-hmm.
I do not recognize that as Tegan.
So Tegan,
definitely not first look.
Tegan, it took me a second to place her because it's clearly her voice, but her accent is not as strong.
And her face looks nothing like what I recognize. Whereas whereas Ace, yeah, she's a little more jowly, but that's still more or less Ace, you know.
But I mean, also like between various Big Finish things and like even that trailer she was in, we've been seeing different like age progression of Sophie Aldred over the years.
And she's
less so
really,
of Janet Fielding.
She's never really lost her Ace accent either. So you hear that accent and you're like, Ace.
Right. But yes, I know some people are asking where, particularly, and I know this would seem odd based on Classic Who, but going off of that Goodbye Sarah Jane short, people are asking about, Sarah Sutton, about Nyssa, if she's going to be in here. I also saw somebody ask Katie Manning on Twitter if she was going to be in it, and she was she just gave a sly, non-committal answer.
Well, you see, that's the thing. All of the Doctor Who formers are basically on orders from the Doctor Who studio. If you're asked if you're going to be in an upcoming special, say nothing.
Right.
Yeah, especially of late, they've been trying to hold it as tight chest as they can to a lot of.
In fact, imply without confirming you will be.
So the exact opposite of the orders they gave Andrew Garfield.
Right. They Doctor Who wants to make you know that any of the cast could reappear at any time. Until their obituary comes up.
Yeah, if there is another, Joe would be the one to make sense, because at this point we have an end of the 80s companion, an end of the 70s companion, and that would be a beginning of the 70s companion. Not like to the year, but in terms of the general half of the decade.
Yeah.
And of course, if Sladen was still alive, she'd be in there.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That said, it's entirely possible we could have a Billy Piper or, a Karen Gillan or something show up. Probably not the latter, because she seems to be quite busy.
Freema Agyeman, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I doubt Nebula has time to make appearances at the moment.
Too busy.
Although she wasn't in that Thor trailer, was she?
Didn't seem to be.
Not that I'm aware of. And even if she was, she'd be done filming that a long time ago already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's technically in the can.
Yeah, but there's 2 more Guardians of the Galaxy movies upcoming, so...
Whenever they get to them. I don't think any of them are currently filming, at least not at the moment.
The Christmas special, I would hope, is in production by now.
She is listed as being in the cast for Love and Thunder.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So...
Just haven't seen a clip of her in it yet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Maybe all her scenes are spoilers.
Well, they've been very tight with the Love and Thunder footage. They've only just started bringing it out.
So I know there's speculation that they're waiting to show anything big until after Moon Knight, because Moon Knight's introducing the gods, and Love and Thunder is Thor the God Butcher. But I kind of feel bad for bringing us to that topic now, because we're starting to go off.
Yep. But Karen Gillan is in the holiday special, and in Guardians 3. So yeah, she's busy.
Yeah.
So I doubt we'd see her.
Yeah, like I generally feel like so long as she's still getting movie work, she's probably less likely to come back unless they like give her something that she's like, okay, I absolutely have to for this.
Especially if they're filming in the States and not in Cardiff for Marvel, which they are. We can probably confirm that building with the bricks and the fluorescent lights, that never appeared in Series 12, right? That's an entirely new location.
Yeah.
Actually, as a matter of fact, I think you see the same bricks behind behind Ace and Tegan.
Oh, good catch. Different lighting, but it looks like the same
different lighting,
building.
but it does look to be the same brick wall, at least in the background.
That does seem to be the brickwork.
Yep.
So they'll probably be firing on Cybermen.
I keep forgetting about those 2 photos because they're not down with the others. Yeah, we have 2 different people wear the orange spacesuit. That's interesting. Unless there's 2, there might be more than one spacesuit at this point.
And it might be the lower levels of the building Kate Stewart's in, because if you look at the computers they're using, they look to be about the same tech.
Maybe.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, we've got the TARDIS, we've got the fire corridor, we've got this. Apparently, we've got at least a plot A and a plot B going on. And once we add what the fuck's going on with Dan, that's a plot C.
Do we think we're going to see Belle in this? I think, yeah, that's her name, right?
If we see Vinder, we should be seeing Belle, but
that would be my thought. That's what.
At least Belle will come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least one would assume she comes up, if nothing else.
As long as they don't fucking Toriyama her and be like, yeah, she's a stay-at-home mom now.
I mean, if they say that this is like right after she gave birth or something, I could see that being a thing of like.
And why would Vinder be here? Don't be a deadbeat dad, Vinder.
Unless he gets drawn into it somehow.
Actually, considering how Flux ended, I'm wondering about the Grand Serpent, though.
That's another possibility.
Because we were speculating about him working with the Master.
Yeah, if not, he's definitely going to be a loose end. So that's going to be we'll see. I really don't think we can speculate more on this because not enough info.
We've talked about all we can with 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 photos.
9 photos and a trailer.
Yep.
Yeah, and I checked, the same other site has the same 9 photos, so that's all there is until they start releasing some more promo.
I guess we can confirm that Tegan's... Well, I guess we already knew from their characters and traveling with the Doctor, neither of them are the type to become old women that don't know how to use FaceTime.
Yep. Okay, so the only other news we have is from Big Finish. and that's a new release. Doctor of War Genesis with Colin Baker came out this week. I don't know much else about it, except it has a whole bunch of names attached to it. It is definitely a full cast audio.
Mm-hmm. Tom's also in it.
Yeah, Tom's also in it, but he's listed as minor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking he's only like in the intro.
And Nicholas Briggs says the Daleks.
Of course, because anytime Daleks come up,
basically,
it comes up. But Nicola Bryant's in it. Jeffrey Beavers, who usually plays the form of the Master. Sanjeev Bhaskar playing Chancellor Barusa. Sean Carlson is Narvin, one of the regular CIA agents we see. Rebecca Knight doing Romana. So yeah, there's just a huge list on this full cast drama. Just came out last Wednesday.
So
Doctor of War, that's Unbound, right?
Doctor Who, Doctor of War, Genesis, I think, is it a part of the Unbounds?
No, I don't think so. Oh no, it is from
yes,
the Unbound range. Yes.
Doctor Who Unbound, Doctor of War 1 Genesis. They don't even have the full title on the cover.
So this is a Time War What If.
My laptop just stopped acknowledging my mouse for whatever reason.
Maybe your mouse ran out of battery.
No, the mouse is still like the laser is still lighting up or whatever the fuck type of mouse it is. I can never keep track, but
anyway, that's all the news we've got.
Yep.
And giving Bill time to figure out his mouse.
Right.
We will go into Geek Talk.
Okay. Also, I'm gonna really quick stop watch, but I'm not gonna start for me. I just want to get that ready for after me, because I realized I didn't have that tab ready. So, anyways, really quickly, I'm gonna cover a short little game tidbit I just finished. Matter of fact, I finished it just before the stream, which is why I added it. So a couple days ago, Castlevania Advance Collection released on PC on Steam. It contains 3 games that were originally made for the Game Boy Advance, but also contains a version of Dracula X. I have actually not finished Dracula X, like, ever. I know the Vampire's Kiss one is usually the better one, I think. Actually, no. I think Vampire Kiss is more or less the same thing. It's just a different title depending on where it's released. And then it's basically considered a lesser port of Rondo of Blood, I believe is the original version. I can see why it's kind of considered a lesser version. It kind of just starts you right off with very little fanfare, not even really an intro to the game. At least from my experience, it just basically takes you to the opening title card right away. The controls are a bit stiff on this one, and honestly, a lot of the bosses were kind of meh. But I will say the number one thing that the sub weapons were pretty good, and I did enjoy going back to make sure I unlocked all the side characters who were kidnapped, so you can get the good ending and also get all the achievements in this version of the game. And then the big finale is, first of all, instead of Carmilla, you face off against Death, and then you face off against Dracula, and possibly the simplest and yet most egregious Dracula fight ever, because it's basically you versus Dracula like it's Castlevania 1, but it's over a bunch of platforms over instant death pits. Yeah, that's your final fight. To which I will say that particular moment is where this port shines, because what they have done to the Advanced Collection is they've added a rewind option as well as a instant save. So you can actually hold down the right trigger button and then hit the left arrow on your directional on your controller if you're using a controller, and you can slowly start to rewind backwards in case you completely foobarred a move, and you can save yourself from falling into that instant death pit. So yeah, after about I realized I was messed up on my second try at Dracula X, and on my third try I've gotten all the way through, got all 3 achievements, and I'm already working on Circle of the Moon. So far it's been a interesting ride, and get to see Circle of the Moon in big clarity for all the pixelated glory that it is. But that's my report on that so far, and so far so good.
So that takes us up to the episode summary.
Yes, which is you, I believe.
Yep.
So we'll stopwatch. All right. Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so we start out with the people in a small Chinese coastal village fleeing from somebody coming up onto the shore. It turns out to be a lady, and some of the villagers panic when she's going to a statue. One of them comes out to confront her, but she has reached the statue, which we would recognize immediately as a sea devil holding a human. She chips away something from the base of the statue, and behind it we see the statue start to crack. The guy confronts her, and while they're fighting, the statue basically breaks open, and the sea devil statue turns out to be real. It promptly kills the guy and begins slaughtering the people of the village. At the same time, the doctor comes up on, and the TARDIS comes up on shore. The doctor wondering why they're off course, because they were looking into the lost Flor de la Mar, which I will get into in historical fact check. The doctor notices that there's a magnetic anomaly, and then follows that onto the shore where she sees the slaughtered villagers and encounters the sea devil, which she of course recognizes from meeting with their species previously. She confronts the sea devil. The sea devil tries to kill her. She gets the upper hand, and the sea devil escapes in a giant floating, almost ghostly pirate vessel. The doctor finds a young man grieving over the body of the guy that the sea devil killed first. Tries to tell him that the pirate lady didn't do it. But he's having none of that, and eventually convinces Dan to go off with her back to her ship so he can kill her. The doctor, meanwhile, wants to figure out what's so important about this, what the Flor de la Mar has to do about this, and goes back in time to not the De la Mar, but where it apparently was, where the treasure was found by a different person. What was his name? Ji-hun. So they track to where the Ji-hun ship was last seen. They witness him throwing his crew overboard, surrendering to the Sea Devil, who then betrayed him, and then the ship sunk. Apparently. The Doctor and Yaz go forward in time to try to find the wreckage of Ji-hun's ship, and instead find a giant freaking sea monster, kaiju. Of course. Which promptly seizes the TARDIS in its jaws and drags it down into the depths of the sea, where they discover the Sea Devils and all their technology, and Ji-hun still alive. They're looking for something called the Keystone, which they don't have, and probably not a good idea that they do have, as they argue for it. Meanwhile, um, Dan and the young lad are captured by Madame Ching, who then promptly hires them to be on her crew instead of killing them. And she's out also looking for Ji-hun's ship. The doctor manages to bluff her way to learn more about their technology, what they're doing, until they discover that the Keystone is not with the doctor. And the doctor raises the ship up and escapes quickly to Madame Ching's ship, discovering that's the wrong idea because they quickly grab a hold of the Keystone, which was on the young lad, and start their plan to reverse the magnetic field and flood the planet with water. The doctor quickly reboards the ship, and thus a massive sword fight begins between the doctor, the lead Sea Devil, and everybody, and all the other Sea Devils and the rest of the crew. They win. The Sea Devil's killed. The doctor has to go down and stop this from happening while having a conversation with Yaz about relationships. And she manages to get it ready to basically increase the density of everything in the Sea Devil's lair so nothing can escape. But she has to hold two pieces of pipe together. Ji-hun volunteers to do it since it's not his time anyway. The Doctor, Yaz, and the others all escape in the TARDIS with the remaining treasure on Ji-hun's ship, which Madame Ching is planning on using to get her original crew released from this other pirates. Oh!
I take it that you're finished.
Yes.
All right. 5 minutes, 36 seconds.
There's so much historical stuff in here. And most of it is more or less accurate. Let's start with the earliest reference, the Flor de la Mar.
That one I did not look up. I was busy looking up Madame Ching.
Flor de la Mar, or Flower of the Sea, was a Portuguese carrack of about 400 tons, which sailed around the Indian Ocean and was sunk in 1511. They said it was lost off the coast of Sumatra. That is accurate. Albuquerque was returning from the conquest of Malacca, bringing a large treasure trove for the Portuguese king when this happened. It was a ship that was built in Lisbon, sailed around Africa into the Indian Ocean, and stayed in the Indian Ocean for about 9 years. So everything you hear about this one is correct.
Except Sea Devil Gem, probably.
Well, yeah, the Sea Devil Gem is not really part of it, but that's the MacGuffin for this.
Yeah.
So. Likewise, I do believe Ji-hun is entirely fictional. I have seen no records of a pirate by that name.
I'm not even sure he was a pirate. I think he was technically under orders for some reason to do what he was doing, but I'm not sure why.
Well, they mentioned he was pretty much born and raised on the sea, and he found the treasure.
Yeah, Ji-hun or Ji-hun is a very common Korean name. And at various points through history, Korea was part of China.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no fictional person of note by that name. So that was an entirely Doctor Who add-on.
I think that fits because it's basically saying he found this lost treasure and then lost it again, due to actions not of his own causing. So it's still lost, so that still fits.
Yep. They just decided to do that instead of trying to get Portuguese people and have the guy left alive be Alfonso de Albuquerque. They gave it a second step.
Mm-hmm.
So that everybody involved was Chinese. Madam Ching, however, is a very historical character.
Yes.
Yep.
And interesting that we can pretty much figure out exactly what year this is happening.
Well, it tells you in the beginning, and it's actually wrong if you go off of some of the dates within the episode.
What? How old did she say her kids were?
She said they were 3 and 6. However, in 1807, they should have been closer to 4 and 0.
Yes.
Or like 4 and 3 and change and a few months, somewhere in that range.
So this should have been around 1810.
Yeah, I wonder if the first draft was that, and then they looked at her history and they're like, that would not have worked. She would have been fucking around with the Qing government at that point.
But they didn't change the age of the kids.
Right.
Mm.
That said, I think the whole thing with the Black Flag Fleet really doesn't fit with her history. Because she led the largest fleet that was part of a confederation with the Black. She had the Red Flag Fleet with the Black Flag Fleet as part of the same confederation. And then within the next year or two, she basically became the de facto leader of that whole confederation. So the idea that they, took her crew and she only had one ship crew and in any way like we're holding them at ransom against her without it being a literal war just doesn't fit.
Yeah. And while it is not uncommon for them to be on the sea, most of these pirates were river pirates.
Mm.
Mind you, there are some very, very big rivers in China. The Yangtze being one of them I can think of off the top of my head.
I didn't look up any of the locations. Do you know if they fit at all with where they would have with where this fleet would have operated?
I do know she worked in southern China. That's all I got for a basis of where she was most of their time as a pirate. Supposedly working off the coast, but that could just mean she was working off the ends of the riverbeds that went out into the coast. So.
Yeah, it's mostly they're mostly coastal, and rivers. So, and they're basically, they're basically working in what would be the Canton region of China, which would be modern day Hong Kong, and the surrounding areas.
So we should be using the Cantonese pronunciations of her names.
Would be the most common for this area, yes. Let's see. 1809 places her near Dawanshan Island, which is in Guangdong. See, I know northwest China more than I know southeast, but let's see where Guangdong is. Yeah, Guangdong is the region just north of Hong Kong. Just north of Hong Kong. Trying to find that particular island, but apparently it might be too small. Because there's a whole bunch of teeny tiny little islands in this area. But yeah, so it's somewhere in the Hong Kong vicinity. Just up the river, or up the what island did I say?
Guangdong?
Dawanshan. No, that's Don Sandman Island. Okay. Again, also trying to translate. But yeah, we're probably talking the Hong Kong region, from what I'm seeing. And yeah, so people would be talking Cantonese.
The other note that I have on here, and I don't know if you would consider it historical or not, but based on things I've seen from historians talking about pirates, no self-respecting sailor would put an S after the word cannon.
Yeah. But that is that's fun with English. So I will forgive them because they're not really speaking English.
Fair.
That would be the TARDIS going oopsie.
Yep.
That would be a TARDIS oopsie.
Although, for all I know, in Dan's particular dialect, you do say cannons instead of cannon, and the TARDIS was translating specifically for Dan. I don't know.
Will you stay away from my laptop, please, Fluffbrain?
Ladies and gentlemen, the cat is attacking the laptop again.
He flops over on the side of my laptop, and I lose all screen vision. Last time he did that, he put me in airplane mode. So if I suddenly disconnect, it's the cat's fault. Anyway, I think that's all the historical facts we have about this. They didn't quite get the dates right, but they did get the legend of the Lord Delamar right, so... Okay.
Dates are a bit iffy, but the rest of it sounds about solid.
So, let's go to the pecking order. I forgot to roll it, because I don't have a dice roller anymore, goddammit.
When I host, I just have to search Google flip a coin. But it's more complicated when you're here.
Why? When I go, I'm always last, so it's always the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm part of the role when you're here. I'm not part of the role when you're not here. Because I take your spot.
Flip coin.
You take my spot at the end.
Yep.
Well, Matt's first.
I'm first. So general thing I liked overall. I'll say the costuming, and that includes the Sea Devils a bit. All of them have at least some sort of unique outfit. Everyone's going for a very Chinese feel, except for Dan. But of course, that's just to have a joke at Dan's expense. Yar Harfield ED and all that.
Yeah, he's going for a Treasure Island look.
At least he didn't have an eye patch on.
He did.
He took it off.
Oh, okay.
He had it on for about 10 seconds.
Oh, got you. So, like when he first came out to TARDIS.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also had the hook.
Yep. He put that back too. Although they could have used it as a Chekhov's gun. Now that I think about it, I don't know when, but at some point
it shows up. He uses it to block a sword, and then it gets flinged off his hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not quite a Chekhov's gun. It's I don't know.
A Chekhov's lifesaver?
It gets a shout out. Anyway, so that's just the costuming. Alex, how about you?
Moving
on. God, I feel like I had like two things, and I was trying to decide which. Just as kind of a jab at Warriors of the Deep, I'm just going to bring up the fact that Chibnall did in fact remember that the Sea Devils is not what they actually call themselves. So you never hear them refer to themselves by anything really, but
Yeah.
And I love how he's actually offended by it when the doctor looks at him and goes, Sea Devils, land parasite. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very similar in the previous Chibnall Silurian episode, which was Hungry Earth, Cold Blood, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill?
That brings it to me. So I like. It was an unusual setting for a Doctor Who episode, being in China. It's not Europe, it's not the UK, and it's not the United States. So it's a good change of pace. We got to see, as Matt mentioned, costuming was different than normal. The sets and props were different from normal. It wasn't like completely out of left, completely, the most unusual thing in the world, but it was a sort of setting we don't often see in Doctor Who, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, it's the first time I think we've done this since Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Abominable Snowman.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A little bit there too.
The Doctor doesn't visit Asia much.
I think they visited Japan off screen in the 2005 series.
They visited Japan in one of the earlier Chibnalls, the one with Jack. Because that's where one of the bases that the Daleks had was there.
Oh, true.
But it was urban. It was urban, modern Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see historical Asia much.
Right.
We've seen historical India a couple of times. In the Chibnall era. But like I said, it's been a while since we've seen China.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is kind of funny because what came to mind, I think, when it was first revealed where the setting was and it was the Sea Devils, I thought, oh, okay. So instead of having samurai outfit Sea Devils, we're having, China Sea sort of whatever. Pirate Sea Devils instead.
it took me a second to realize what you meant by historical India, because it's in the scale of Doctor Who, it's barely historical, but it kind of is.
It's historical enough that they needed period costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And anything for me is considered historical if you have to do a different type of dress from what would be around today. Because pretty much
which probably includes Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yes. Global modern style of dress is a t-shirt, jeans or slacks, decent leather shoes, or a suit,
Yeah, technically, the 90s would not be historical enough.
So you would draw the line that Father's Day was not historical, but Remembrance of the Daleks was.
Certain places and bits in 80s would be historical, and going further back, then the fashions start to get a little more abstract than they are now.
Correct. If you can't just go down to a clothing store, buy the clothes you need, and go, this is just fine for this era. Yeah.
90s is borderline.
Yeah, that's actually becoming historical because how many people actually use the grunge look these days?
So apparently 90s is like the new retro fad on TikTok and for like teens.
Oh, really?
Well, it is pretty. To be fair,
Stonewash is back. Acid wash jeans that are torn at the knees.
Well, torn at the knee seems to have just become more exaggerated over the decades rather than going away.
Yeah,
like
the torn jeans look has just gotten out of hand.
Now I see 18-year-olds and I was like, is there enough fabric on those jeans that they stay up? Like, how? There must be a witch involved. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're wondering, okay, if this is what's going to happen, where is it going to be in another 20, 30 years? Are they just going to show up in their underwear?
It'll just be strands of denim hanging from a belt.
Honestly, I'm both surprised and annoyed that 2021 fashion wasn't just showing up in your pajamas and fleece. Because I think the entire world was ready for a year of just sweatpants and leggings.
They did. It was called COVID.
No, yeah, but I mean, once people started showing up places in person, all of a sudden people were like fashionable and shit again, and I was just like, Damn it, I thought you were going to slow down so I could just show up in my sweatpants and not be considered unprofessional.
No, you can keep dreaming.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
That said, I specifically bought sweatpants that are now the only things I'm going to fly in, so.
Well, yeah, it's good to be comfortable when you fly, because it's one of the most
Yeah.
uncomfortable experiences ever.
That, and I don't need to take off a belt. I can just tie it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Where were we?
That was a hell of a tangent.
We were talking about the costuming for this episode.
Yes.
Right.
So now it's to what Rand likes?
Yep. I liked the way most of the actors were portrayed in this. Madam Ching turned out to be a character that, while you thought she was just this bitch at the beginning, had reasons for what she was doing, albeit non-historically accurate reasons, but reasons. Yeah, there's pretty much only one character I have issues with, and I'll talk about that in a little bit.
That's right. The true villains weren't Chinese, so this episode could air in China if Doctor Who airs there, which I don't think it does.
They've negotiated for it.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking.
I think they occasionally still air it over there.
I was thinking in terms of like Marvel movie rules. So,
in fact, that might be why they did this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't there like a thing in China that we've covered like years ago where they had like a 5-year deal?
Yes, through 2015. Yeah, it was.
I think I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the Chibnall era, or through 2025. I think it was right when they started. They negotiated a 5-year deal in China.
That said, I literally have no idea if the rules for movies are the same as the rules for television.
They roughly are. It's all run by the government.
Anyway, let's talk about what we didn't like. And Matt, you were first.
Oh, I didn't like. I'm gonna go for an easy one. As much as I like the look of the Sea Devils and everything, I have to say I hate when they tried talking because they didn't do much to animate the mouth.
That was deliberate. Because if you notice, when they're talking, they have that little crystal on their chest that are glowing because they're supposed to be telepathic.
See, I didn't quite get that. All I got is that it looked like he was trying to talk, but they didn't really animate it very well.
Okay, so I get what you're saying, but I feel if it was supposed to be telepathy, they should have been doing that whole like reverb thing that you usually do with telepathy. They did not do that.
Yeah, I know, but it was being translated by the thing. Go back and watch the episode.
I noticed it was flashing occasionally when he was talking, but it's still it was really not very well explained.
But especially like there was the one scene where the guy talking and he has a name, but they never say the name in the episode. But he was talking with his mouth shut, and everybody was listening with their mouths open. So I was thinking it was a costuming issue.
I mean, I basically let it slide because I figured this is like improved technology or not, this is still Doctor Who, so it would have been a lot of like Admiral Akbar from the 80s where it's just a lot of bop, 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 bop kind of mouth movements, so it would have looked really silly. So his mouth is like sort of moving but not opening.
Yeah, I just really want more mouth movement, and every time he was on screen and not really moving his mouth when talking was just bugging the hell out of me. But that was probably one of the couple of things that bugged me the most was that. But anyways.
Oh, I finally found Shan Island. It's actually south of Hong Kong.
Oh.
Between Hong Kong and Macau, actually.
Found it. Anyway.
Yeah. It was just bothering me that I couldn't find it. I've got cats crawling all over me.
Cats.
Let's see. Honestly, I'm gonna go with like the son of the guy who was guarding the statue, like, coming around to the end to like Madame Ching, because I don't know, like, the progression of that story I don't entirely buy, even if he kind of lets it slide a bit. He, like, to the point of it ends with him hugging her. It's just kind of like, I don't know if I buy that.
No.
She started off with "I kill you," and him being like, "I need to kill you in revenge. You killed my father," and it ended with him hugging her and be like, "Oh my god, I want to stay with you." And
Yeah,
like-
this was my issue. This is the one I was going to talk about. You stole mine. The kid, first of all, determined and bloodthirsty to go kill this person. And, seems to indicate that he at least knows a little bit of how to fight. And then you get to the point where they're fighting the Sea Devils, and he's cowering in a corner, pissing himself. And then suddenly he's like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm like, no. At that point, you've got to be like, fuck this, I'm done. But that's not the way they took it. And it's like, why? You nearly died. You've decided to give up your revenge. I can see that. But, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's more that it seems a bit easy for him to be willing to forgive her. And it's like, I can get, okay, you've been told she did not directly kill him. But even he seems to say, like, immediately after that, like, well, she essentially killed him by letting this monster out.
she was about to kill him if the Sea Devil hadn't.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like, yeah, he doesn't give her a pass. And then, like, yeah, I get like that she spills the beans as to why she's doing this, and like, oh, they've got my kids and all that. But I feel like even then, even if he'd be like sympathetic to that, why would he still be willing to stick around with her?
Well, the way it was supposed to go and what it was supposed to imply is that Madame Ching was adopting Ying-Ki as one of her own, as kind of a way to make up for losing his father. And I think his whole family was supposed to be dead at this point, because that village got slaughtered.
Yeah.
As far as for where his dad was the only person left, anyways. So.
Yeah, if he had a mother or a sister or anybody, the Sea Devil probably killed him. So he really had nothing to go home to. And Madame Ching did seem to express regret in at least one scene that his father died. That she should have helped him. So that's supposed to be what it is, but I think Ying-Ki played it up too much of yay instead of I'll accept this,
Yeah.
So I think it might be a little bit of overacting on the part of Marlo Chan Reeves, who played Ying-Ki, and the director just going, okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that goes on to mine. So
and
I'm going to
technically you're last because I'm tagging onto that.
Okay. So I think as anyone who's heard me talk about media knows that I generally appreciate a good sapphic plot. It's my bread and butter with some of the shit. But this episode, the whole I can't be tied down resolution and that whole like subplot it doesn't feel earned by the episode. It feels like they're like, shit, we need to have a few scenes about this before we wrap up this doctor. But there's only a couple episodes to put it in. But it doesn't match any of the themes anywhere else in the episode. And that really makes it feel like it's out of left field, as if they're trying to impress somebody. Like, I'm not saying that that's what they are. I'm saying in terms of, I think the reason is because they wanted to include it and they didn't know how. But there are people who are going to take it like, oh, they just wanted to impress all the lesbians in the audience and get views, because it's not earned by the episode. And what kind of frustrates me about that too is like everything you were talking about with Yin Ki. Say they had a plot where he was like, well, he could go back to the village, but after experiencing life on the sea, he feels that travel calls to him and he can't stay in one place, and that's why he requests to go with Madam Ching, and she accepts him because of her responsibility in killing his father. That would not only improve his plot, but it would fit the themes of the relationship plot a whole lot better than what we actually got.
Well, first of all, Madam Ching didn't kill his father. The fucking Sea Devil did.
She killed him indirectly. She made the Sea Devil, and then the Sea Devil killed the father.
Yeah, but better context for this, because we've had this speech in Doctor Who before, would be the episode School Reunion, where the Doctor is trying to explain why he leaves people behind to Rose. Where he says, you could spend your entire life with me, but I can't spend my entire life with you.
Right.
It's basically the same speech. However,
it doesn't fit the episode the same way at all.
Yes. The context in which it happens, context,
Yep.
is much different, because here, that episode, you have Rose encountering Sarah Jane, a companion that the Doctor left behind, and is busy wondering, is this going to be my future too? And the Doctor is basically confirming that, yeah, it probably will be at some point, because I can't get attached because it's too painful. I'll basically blink and your life will be gone.
And I think this is a lot of why Chibnall gets accused of over-moralizing, because he includes the same shit that other writers do, but he can't weave it together as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the number one issue with this, which I think both me and Rand were even calling it early on, was that, oh lord, they're going to push the relationship thing and it's going to be ham-fisted, and it is.
Yeah, it's Chibnall has all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. He's like
a sledgehammer. He has the subtlety of a jackhammer.
I'm
going to go a step further. He has the subtlety of Jeremy Clarkson.
It doesn't even need to be subtle. It just needs to be parallel. It needs to fit and not. It needs to not clash.
Well, yeah. No. Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah, I can't fit this square peg in the round hole. Give me a second. Where's my hammer?
Yeah.
And that's Chibnall's mentality for writing. Yeah, this Pete we have.
It doesn't fit here, Chibnall. What are we gonna do? Hammer time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not touched. Oh wait, is hammer time? I don't know. Anyway.
But that's a thing where I'm like, it kind of, like if I'm kind of fine with that, but it also is a thing of like, if this was something that was going to happen, why didn't it start in like series 12? So then it could be a bit of a thing during Flux, rather than just kind of coming out of nowhere during Flux. And then suddenly we've got to deal with it, but we haven't got much time left.
Yeah,
it basically was a subplot introduced, like the fans read into stuff they had unintentionally hinted at, and then the writers were like, "Oh shit, yeah, we should do that." So by series 12, they probably didn't even have the slightest idea.
And this is why you don't chase after every idea the fans come up with.
Yep.
Because sometimes it just doesn't fit.
Yeah, at least not if you don't know how to make it fit. Like, some writers are excellent at that. That is not Chibnall's strength, to put it lightly.
I know of a manga that I need to finish reading one of these days. The manga writer actually completely changed the last couple chapters because he got input from fans that they didn't like the direction he was going to go with it, where he killed all the main characters off. He immediately, in the last couple of chapters, heel turned, suddenly made a happy ending out of it, and the characters from that have repeatedly come back in his mangas since. So sometimes the fans are right, sometimes, and if you can write well, why not? But yeah, this is ham-fisty. This is the biggest ham fist in a while. It's too much to eat all in just Easter alone.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we're up to favorite scene.
Yes.
Scene, okay. I don't care, again, much for the whole forced relationship thing that was going on just the moment beforehand, but when the Doctor and Yaz see the ground start to open up and they're just like, what the hell's going on? Why aren't we falling? And immediately sea monster. Always wonder what would happen if a kaiju would attack the TARDIS, and now we know it. As long as it doesn't try to bite too hard, it should be fine.
I remember watching that scene and going, oh, great, a kaiju. And here we are without a giant robot.
Does anybody know anybody from the Space Nebula? We could use a contact outside of this right now.
Now I'm wondering if Doctor Who has had any writers that would have literally turned the TARDIS into a mech.
No, because the fans would have immediately turned off.
Yeah, that's just as fun as it is, as fun of an idea as it is. Just no, no, we're not turning Doctor Who into a.
That would be the same episode where the Doctor turned out to be a magical girl.
Right. We are not turning Doctor Who into a tokusatsu.
I beat the Daleks with the power of pretty magic. No.
And cancel the show.
And done. Yeah. I'm done. I love me a good magical girl anime, but that's not why I watch Doctor Who.
Yeah. I'll actually that's kind of an idea for later. I'll try to remember that. Anyways, go ahead.
We'll talk. Just mention it after we're almost done here. So if you can't resist, mention it afterwards. Okay. All right. So, Alex, favorite scene?
God, I feel like for this I definitely had a few. I will go with, funnily enough, before the bit that Matt was talking about, where Doctor opens the doors of the TARDIS underwater, and you basically just get this glamour shot.
That glamour shot was also really nice, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, just the way that's shot, and like the fish swimming around the top of the TARDIS and stuff is like...
And the TARDIS all nice and lit up.
If I could have like a painting of that on my wall, that would be very nice.
There's the top-down shot?
Yeah. Really just any. Even when they're like, it's a wide shot where you see them looking out the TARDIS. And it's just the ocean.
At least when trying to put together the title card, I kind of was annoyed that the wide shot didn't have the whole TARDIS in it. Like, it was just from the top of the door to the bottom of the door. and I really was hoping to find it with the whole TARDIS with the ocean around it. But that's kind of a minor thing.
Okay.
So, Bill.
Bill.
All right. So I think I'm going to say the scene that I liked the most was the first appearance of its name is still not on TARDIS, and it's not a name that I can easily remember. The sea monster.
Hua-Sen.
The Hua-Sen. The first appearance of that when it comes out and it's like it's got that Jaws / Godzilla thing going on, and then it comes up and eats the guy on the boat. I thought that was a really great introduction for it.
All right. So I'm going to go for the Danism.
Okay.
When Dan and Ji-Hoon are facing off against the Sea Devils, Dan's immediately like, yeah, no, you want to watch out for this guy. He's hundreds of years old. He's got a grudge, everything. And when all the Sea Devils are staring at him, he pulls out his sword and just takes out all of them.
I was disappointed he didn't do it felt to me like it wasn't as good as the ones he had done in previous episodes.
No, I just like his rebuttal line to, where did you learn to fight like that? You should meet me, Mum.
Oh yeah. I was really waiting for be like, oh yeah, you know what, we're just looking for the dock. Can you point us? Something like that. And
but it's also it's actually this. I will agree. This seems to be a Danism where Dan seems to try and put the focus on somebody or something else, and that usually gets him that opening he's looking for.
Yeah, he's very good with the misdirect sneak attack.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely a high level rogue at this point.
Oh yeah, that's because he's from Liverpool.
I don't know of any prestige class where you can get 6 sneak attacks in one round, but I'm sure it exists.
That's because he's a former Liverpool footballer. Trust me, Liverpool's been putting that to good use this year. They're at the top of the Premier League.
And now I want to ask if you can combine sneak attack with cleave, but that gets us off on a whole other tangent that we're not ready
Multi-class.
Liverpool's on the route to the FA Cup this year.
Multi-class,
and
Bill.
Yes,
Multi-class. But anyways.
I'm actually watching football. I'm actually watching the sports ball for once.
Randy's watching the sports ball. Oh no, what happened? Who replaced you, Rand?
I'm only watching association football, and only watching Liverpool. Because I hate Manchester United.
Take them down. Take them down.
Oh, they're not even. They beat them 4-0 yesterday. My friend Sammy and I are watching this, and we're just like, I'm laughing and virtually going, Liverpool, Liverpool.
All right, tangent penalty. Too many tangents today.
Yellow card. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Least favorite scenes, right?
Yeah, we just went through them because mine was the Danism. So
that was a favorite scene.
Favorite scenes.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's favorite scene. So yeah, least favorite. I forgot about least favorite. Yeah.
Least favorite. So, TARDIS and water, and we never jumped a shark. You're welcome.
Okay.
Seriously, it's my greatest regret this episode. We had such a good chance. At least you could.
Usually, you don't want to jump the shark.
You had the chance. You had the chance, Chibnall, to at least save it a little bit again by jumping the shark, but you can't even give me that.
Oh shit! The social medias would have been merciless.
All right, Alex.
Trying to think of something that wasn't related to my least favorite aspect, if I can. You know what? Just for being pedantic, because I have a habit of that. I'm going to go with the fact that everything before the TARDIS crew shows up, why is it being translated?
Because the TARDIS is there.
Because, like, when the village initially gets attacked in the cold open, like, you know, you would think that would just be in, like,
In subtitles?
Yeah, because the TARDIS isn't there,
because
so we don't
the
have the
actors
excuse.
probably don't know a word of Chinese.
True. They're probably lived in England their entire life.
Some of them might, but I can pretty much guarantee that unless he's extraordinarily talented, I doubt Craig Ailes knows Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Name's
they don't
Craig.
exactly have they usually don't have enough time to learn their lines phonetically for that. Craig Ailes or Marlo Chan Reeves. Do these sound like Chinese? Hell, do you want to know what Ji-hoon's actor's name was? Arthur Lee.
I mean,
nope. That's a flat nope to any.
There's a good chance he also has a Chinese language name, but we wouldn't know without knowing him.
Maybe,
well,
but unlikely.
Lee is a common Chinese, I believe, surname.
Oh yeah, I know, but that means he's probably like second, third, fourth gen Chinese.
Yeah, right.
So he maybe knows a few phrases, but that's about it. Not even guaranteed they even be able to hold a conversation. Not to mention he actually wasn't actually there for any of the non-English parts anyway.
Yeah, there's probably a good mix of who knows it and who doesn't.
And unfortunately, none of these guys are famous enough to have their own wiki pages or anything.
So yeah, it's very unlikely. They are most likely very much UK actors and actresses.
Okay.
Look, it brings us to... Oh, no, that Matt already went, so I'm next. So I'm going to go with the Doctor knows that there's a flying ship that, shouldn't exist. And then her immediate thought is, what happened to this other ship? We don't know. It must have sunk. Can you put 2 and 2 together and maybe think that the ship you just saw flying might be the ship that you're looking for? Does someone actually need to tell you that? Why?
Like, it is funny how they just kind of conveniently leave before they get the full scope.
It's like I was mad that I figured it out like 10 minutes before the Doctor. I'm like, come the fuck on.
Well,
I didn't have any extra
Doctor,
information.
you literally have the
didn't.
Flying Dutchman in your face. It's plain as the flying ship before your eyes.
Yeah, I don't like that scene, but for a different reason.
Okay.
The Doctor's like, okay, so we're gonna go back in time and fix this out. Yes, it's like, what about Dan? What about Dan? And the Doctor's like, what about Dan?
Well, she knew they were gonna come back.
I know, but it just seemed to be such a bitch thing to do.
Yeah, Dan does get unnecessarily shat upon quite often, to be fair.
I know she
and
was
that was definitely a
complaining
moment of who cares about Dan. It's like, ooh.
I know she was complaining about the wandering off. I think she really was just trying to find a way to sneak off and have a private conversation for the first time in weeks.
Yeah, I know, but the way it's executed,
it's still very much.
Have you met my friend the Doctor? She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world.
Just up and leaves her friends behind when the mood swing hits her.
I mean the way she's just like shrugged. He wandered off. Is so indifferent. She couldn't just say, "Oh, don't worry, we'll get back to him, no problem."
I thought that was funny considering that Yaz is like the number one wanderer offer of the 13th Doctor era.
Okay. I also have a second one, by the way. And that's in the big relationship speech.
Okay.
The Doctor's like, you don't know how wonderful, how most important you are. And I'm looking at this like, when has she ever proved this?
I love you so much, cardboard cutout.
Yes.
Yeah, the one of the best people I've ever met thing seemed off. Like, you
Don't get me wrong.
need to
Yes, she seems to get along with Yes just fine, but I've
Yeah, you're right,
never seen the sparks.
like an emotional connection doesn't need to be like, oh yeah, there's all this extra justification. Like,
Yeah, you're one of the best people I've ever met. When have we seen this on screen?
Yeah. Which again was kind of the issue of having 3 companions to start the era off with.
I mean, I guess you could, the fact that she, she led Dan and Professor what's his name for years to get back to the future and succeeded is a thing, but like the Doctor never seems to even acknowledge that happened, so I doubt that that's what she's referencing.
Yeah, no.
She's just like, oh yeah, that's just part of traveling with me. Sometimes you get left in the past and you need to make your way to the present without me.
Yeah, it's just one of these things that it's like, okay, you wanted to build her up to be this great person, but you never built her up to do it.
Yeah. Because like, it is kind of the annoying thing is like, it's almost why I feel, as much as I like Graham should have been written out in resolution. Either he should have left the TARDIS or he should have died in resolution.
Well, honestly, you keep going on about how there's too many companions, but even with less companions, there was still like 0 really development of Yaz.
I kind of felt like that particular that particular line at least was basically Chibnall like, okay, what did Russell do? Oh yeah,
right. If that too.
If there's any one thing I believe in the universe, I believe in her. Okay, good. Now let's just change it so it doesn't look like we copied. And I mean, I think Satan Pit is not exactly one of the most loved examples of the Doctor and Rose's relationship anyway. Except maybe among people who, write self-insert fanfic.
Ouch.
Hey, I don't write self-insert, so... Actually, I don't even write these days. What the fuck am I talking about?
You're too busy GMing.
No, I'm too busy dying, thank you.
That too.
I haven't written fiction in fucking forever.
I have the footnotes of the entire rest of the Conan campaign in the back of my head, and now it's just a matter of time to get it done.
Oh yeah, that doesn't count.
Okay.
So final thoughts?
Yep.
Oh, final thoughts. I think a major majority of this story is actually pretty good. It's nice to see Sea Devils back. There's some iffiness with the whole talking thing, but the outfits and the costumes still look fantastic, and it's nice to get a decent update to them. Also, again, as we mentioned before, we get to visit Asia, which Doctor Who does not do very often, and when it has done it so far, it's done it well, so a nice comeback. The characters all have their individual little moments here and there to shine, which is a nice thing to see. However, the continued pushed development between some of these said characters leaves much to be desired, as we were worried about from the get-go when they said they were going to go with it. But with that little oddity out of the way, and a couple other odd things near the close of the episode, it's otherwise a very solid episode, and a nice comeback for the Sea Devils themselves. That's my thoughts.
On to Alex.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because as many issues as this special has, to a point, I still think it's at least good. It's just that it it's held back from being anything beyond good. And the thing that occurred to me after watching it the first time was like, I feel like if he sprinkled more episodes like this in series like 11 and 12, people probably wouldn't be harping him so much.
As much, at least.
Yeah, like, it would like soften the blow of some other things that bug people. I mean, mainly the time. Like, there was probably no coming back from the Timeless Child stuff, but
yeah, there's just no saving that particular plot choice.
But yeah, it's like this was, fun. So there's at least that, and it's like I will take fun on his way out at the very least. And I feel like the main reason I give the like ham-fisted conversational stuff about like, no, we can't actually be a thing because I'm not allowed to date people who seem to be the same gender as me on screen, is the reason I give that a pass is more like I hate the stuff with Rose, so I don't want the Doctor to ever be in a fucking relationship unless it's with another Time Lord or Immortal or whatever the fuck. Because at least that way it's someone who's got a similar level of like life experience. Whereas humans, it's like they're basically a baby to you. Like, so like
Ramona
I'm
shows
just
up
like
in the next episode and starts making out with the Doctor immediately.
But yeah, like even if it'll go somewhere, I mean, it's kind of funny because I feel like they're just nipping it in the bud now, so they don't have to deal with it in the Centenary Special. Because
maybe
by that point, we're not getting this Doctor back unless she shows up in the 60th, and for all we know, this will probably also be Yaz's exit as well, in the Centenary, because I would be very kind of amazed if she stuck around beyond that. Outside of, again, maybe she's there in the 60th and then leaves.
Oh, I would love a Curse of Fatal Death style. The Doctor regenerates into a guy and it's just like, I'm sorry, you're not who I fell in love with.
But yeah, like, while this could have used like a few more go-throughs on the script and that, I still think it was at least like good, harmless fun.
I think when they go through all this effort to super hype up an episode, the end result is that I'm overly critical when I watch it. Because I think that was my mindset a lot of the time here, where I was just they pushed up, like I knew that it was not going to live up to like amazing expectations because the Chibnall era just generally hasn't been that amazing. There have been good moments, but not like to the point of to the expectations they lead us onto. But the amount of time, the amount they push certain things, definitely put me in that sort of critical mindset. And I definitely found a lot of things in here. Like, I was, if anything, I was just trying to narrow down what I wanted to say for the things that I disliked and the least favorite scene, rather than having a difficulty finding one. And then, of course, we didn't even talk about things like the action set piece. Well, we kind of talked about the action set piece, which was just kind of there. But meanwhile, like, Mandip Gill hurt her finger filming that scene, and it was all over the fucking entertainment headlines because they had nothing better to talk about. So the end result is I just kind of feel kind of blah about this. There's a lot of issues with the writing, and I feel like it needed more work. I know they've been dealing with like COVID restrictions and the aftermath of COVID restrictions and relieving and handing it off to a new team and all of that shit, but I feel like I somewhat feel like the script wasn't done, or if not, then there just wasn't the team to write it. I know I've seen tweets like, oh, I think it was cut down from a 60-minute episode to a 50-minute one. I don't think that would have made that much of a difference, to be honest, with some of the things we pointed out.
No.
I just think it wasn't, I just don't think it quite lived up to what it was aiming for. That said, I think the visuals were fantastic, especially the probably my biggest issue with the visuals, like Rand pointed out, that it was a wrong issue to have because they're supposed to be telepathic. I had forgotten that. Otherwise, I don't think I really have any complaint whatsoever about the visuals. The costumes was great. The special effects were great. It was pretty much the story bits, by which I mean the writing and some of the acting or directing related to the story, like we talked about, the guy being overly happy and shit. Which unfortunately that's, kind of a major part of something like this. So, yeah, it doesn't leave me super hyped. Also, in terms of, I mentioned a few times that it seemed like or I and Rand's comparison to School Reunion mentioned that he seems to be cribbing a bit from Russell's stuff. And this seems a lot like it's leading toward Martha's, well, if I'm going to be around pining for the doctor and I can't have the doctor, then I'm just going to dip out now while I can, sort of thing. And I think that's exactly the same sort of ending Yaz is going to have next episode. That's it for me.
Okay. So, in my opinion, we have Ella Road writing a wonderful, great, adventurous, era, mostly authentic Doctor Who episode, with then having Chris Chibnall proceed to shit on all of it by entering the plot era relevant points with a ball peen hammer. Does this sound like a familiar gripe before? Yes, it should. I used to bitch about this about Stephen Moffat. Because it's the same damn shit. This script, if you pull out the relevant plot points for the series, the Dr. Yaz relationship, that kind of stuff, it's actually a pretty good episode with only one or two flaws. But once you add that in, it flaws it up in a whole new level and makes it more disappointing. The acting is good, except for a couple of points. The writing, like I said, good until Chibnall gets involved.
Mm-hmm.
Special effects are good. The mask possibly could have used a little more articulation or CGI. But other than that, no, I thought that was pretty good. And the designs looked very nautical, undersea kind of feel, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed most of this. It's just a shame that the seasonal stuff, the stuff done by our series showrunner, drug it down a little more.
Danny Pink all over again.
Yeah.
Damn you, Danny.
Do we need to be reminded how much I hated Danny Pink? Okay. So, let's rate this puppy. Matt, you get the first rating.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the decent acting and the Sea Devils, this would have gone a notch lower, but they just edged it up enough for me that I'm going to give this a 4.
Okay.
Just enough.
Alex?
I went out of my way to look up what I gave the Sea Devils' first appearance. And I like this more than that. Just enough, because I think that had just a lot of old Who-ish kind of issues, even though it had the Master and Pertwee having a sword fight.
Yeah,
So,
by the way, I want to aside here real quick. I remember the Pertwee era and the Doctor being a pretty master swordsman.
She's terrible in this, yeah.
Yeah, when did she lose all that skill?
Because even the fourth Doctor had it, so it was multiple Doctors still had it.
She learned Expelliarmus with her magic wand.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, the 10th Doctor won a sword fight in his first appearance, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Although
yeah, 10th Doctor still had it. I wouldn't be surprised if the 13th, if the 11th still had it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
the 12th, I could see him literally clocking somebody out with his guitar. So why does 13 get the shaft when it comes to combat? Even if it's non-life-threatening combat. Anyway.
But yeah, generally I realized, I mean, like, I'd really have to go back and watch the Sea Devils, really, but I feel like beyond the Master being in it, there wasn't a lot to write home about compared to the fun I had with this, so I am actually going to agree with Matt and give this a 4.
Do I be the negative person for the third time in a row?
That does seem to be your role.
I mean,
let's look at this. Just looking at this season, the Flux rating, you were not the negative person, nor were you negative for Dreamland. We all tied for Infinite Quest. Negative for Eve of the Daleks. Not for that. Negative for Nightmare Man.
I was tied with you for Nightmare Man.
Yep. Negative for Vault. Negative for Empty Planet.
I was tied with Matt for that one.
We're all tied for Meat. Negative for Adam. I'm just
counting the ties.
Negative for Reset. Negative for Dead Man Walking. I'm just counting the ones where you were in the bottom echelon of rating. Negative for Sirens of Ceres. So the majority of the time, you were in the bottom echelon.
Every party needs a pooper. That's why they invited you. Party pooper.
I'm feeling 3.0-ish on this episode.
I kind of figured. Mediocre.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm actually agreeing with a 4 on the others. I thought the plot itself was enjoyable if it wasn't for the Chibnallism. It would have been a 4.5 before Chibnall got involved. So
yeah, it probably could have pushed almost to a 4.5 pretty easily if it just wasn't for some of the mess-ups.
So between that and, of course, Bill's negative Nancyism, that is going to average it out to a 3.75. Which, on our ranking chart, would put this at number 246. It is on par with Galaxy 4, Smith & Jones, The Time Monster, and Extremis, Pyramid of the End of the World, Lie of the Land. Oh, wow, that's a sucky one. It is better than The Moonbase, The Daleks, and Flatline, and not as good as Robot of Sherwood.
Ouch.
Or Day of the Daleks, or Praxius. There we go. Number 246 out of 222 things reviewed. That is all we have to say about Legend of the Sea Devils.
All right, please let us know in the comments, what did you think about this episode? Did you agree with me, or did you agree with literally everybody who's not me? Or did you go to one of the extremes? Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to keep getting our exports on YouTube, or follow us on Twitch to get our streams every Tuesday night.
All right, so next time, we are back into our holding pattern, waiting for the Centennium. And that means we're back to our spin-off series, and back to K9. So next time, it'll be K9, Fear Itself. Written by Everett DeRoche and Graham Farmer, and starring John Leeson as K9, Keegan Joyce as Starkey, Philippa Coulthard as Horace Turner, Daniel Weber as Darius Pike, and Robert Maloney as Alistair Griffin. See you next week, and hopefully I'll do some catch-up viewing.
See you then.
See you later.